When I love a book my family and friends are unlikely to read, I summarize it for them in a short fun video. Today, A General Theory of Love by Drs. Lewis, Amini, and Lannon. The human brain has 3 layers, each of which evolved at a different time. The oldest part is the reptilian brain, which we share with our relatives as far-flung as crocodiles and condors. It provides the involuntary instincts to meet our basic survival needs. When we mammals branched off, grew fur, and stopped laying eggs, we developed the middle layer, the limbic brain. It provides our involuntary emotional responses. All mammals also have some of the outer layer, the neocortex. The cleverer the mammal, the more neocortex they have. We humans have the most by far. Over 75% of our brain is neocortex. It's the part of our brain that does language, mathematics, and decision-making. The central argument of A General Theory of Love is that modern Western society is neocortically fine. We're smarty smart, but we're limbically incompetent. To heal our culture, we need to turn to the middle layer of our brains and get in touch with our emotions.
You and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals, so let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel.
An emotion begins within milliseconds of a stimulus, dwindles quickly, and causes a facial expression. A feeling is a conscious experience of emotional activation. A mood is a residual state of readiness to experience a particular emotion. A man who spills coffee on himself at breakfast will anger more quickly and more severely if someone cuts him off in traffic than he would have done if he hadn't spilled the coffee. Certain conditions like depression and mania involve getting stuck in a particular mood. Your temperament is your innate level of susceptibility to various moods. Emotional expressions are universal across cultures and innate. A congenitally blind baby smiles when playing with his mother. But why do we have emotions? Charles Darwin speculated on how particular emotional responses might contribute to survival. Eyebrows lifted in surprise expand the visual field. An in-breath when startled prepares you to run. A sneer, like a dog's snarl, shows off your cuspid in warning of your ferocity.
And you're gonna hear me roar.
Advanced emotionality aligns your internal somatic parameters to match the external environment. Your limbic brain outputs to your endocrine system, cooking up the hormones required by the situation. It outputs to your face, broadcasting your inner state for all nearby mammals to see. And it outputs to your neocortex, which tries to understand and integrate your experience.
Why do I feel? Trying to understand, explain everything, overanalyze.
Limbic resonance is the continuous syncing together of inner states with other nearby mammals. It involves eye contact and touch. It's what makes feelings contagious. A mother regulates her baby's physiology. Experiments with mice show that specific attributes of the mother mouse affect specific physiological responses of her baby. Her body heat and scent determines their activity level. When she feeds them determines their sleep-wake cycles, and the extent of her tactile grooming determines their growth rate. And it isn't just mice. Human mothers everywhere intuitively hold their baby in their left arm, so the baby can feel the regulating rhythm of her heartbeat. Premature babies who need to remain in incubators and so cannot be held breathe better when paired with a special teddy bear that expands and contracts as if breathing. Human infants are fascinated by faces, but only when there is synchronous feedback.
You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you.
An amazing experiment showed babies a live video feed of their mother's face. The babies were entranced and happy. But playing a recorded video of mom instead, or even introducing a slight delay into the feed, threw the babies into distress. Loving interaction with the mother figure is a psychological need. Babies who are not played with and cooed over fail to thrive, and the quality of early maternal attachment is a robust predictor of the long-term success of a child. The best mothers reliably intuit their baby's internal state and respond appropriately. As babies age, an in-tune parent teaches them how to read and respond to their own internal state. When a toddler falls, she doesn't know if it was serious or not, so she looks to her mother and will cry if her mother appears concerned, and shake it off if her mother appears unfazed. As they age, humans gradually develop increased physiological autonomy and increased understanding of their own internal states. But it is never complete. Even as adults, we continue to seek attachments to keep our brains on track. We join choirs, bowling teams, churches, and get married to be regulated by relatedness. Any limbically responsive mammal will do. Pets reliably boost health in the elderly. The problem with reciprocal bonds is that they can be broken. The body's response to the rupture of a bond is predictable and has two stages. The response is the same for a baby mouse taken away from its mother, a homesick student starting college, or an adult whose spouse has died or gone away on a long trip. In the first phase, protest, heart rate increases, cortisol and adrenaline spike, and the person is hyper-alert. It is physiologically similar to anxiety. In the second phase, despair, heart rate decreases. The person loses interest in food and their immune function breaks down. Children in despair do not grow normally. Women in despair show delayed menstruation.
How do I breathe without you?
Our loved ones change us, and when they're gone, the change persists. We remember them. What are memories? They are not physical objects in our brains. Rather, they exist as fortified connections between neurons. We create associations. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Emotional experiences tie to all memories with the same emotional signature. So when you are sad about something happening now, you are, in a sense, simultaneously reacting to every other sad thing that's ever happened to you. Humans have two memory systems. Your explicit memory contains the facts and personal history you can consciously recall. Your grade 3 teacher's name, the capital of Argentina. You don't form explicit memories when you're very young, and that system breaks down as you age. Your implicit memory system is truly lifelong, and deals in unconscious pattern recognition. This is the stuff like riding a bicycle that you never forget, because it isn't made of facts. It's an intuition you build from a wealth of experience. Even a brain-damaged person who can retain no new facts can be taught new skills by repeated practice. One cool experiment involves showing subjects a list of nonsense words generated by a computer algorithm that obeyed dozens of complex rules like R before G except after B or O. Subjects could say whether a new word like wuxtara belonged on the list or not, even though they couldn't say why or articulate any of the rules. It just felt right or felt off. Your implicit memory works analogously to big data neural networks that learn associations but not the reasons for them. Your early childhood experiences of relationships create your unconscious sense of what relationships are and inform all your later choices in love. You unconsciously seek the same relationship rhythms you absorbed early on. Your set of attractors can be healthy or pathological. If you had a manipulative mother, you may push away healthy people and invite broken people into your heart forever after.
Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door.
What you learn about love during the critical window of early childhood is analogous to what you learn about language. Your brain only learns to process those phonemes you are exposed to in infancy. A baby whose first language is Japanese isn't exposed to the English R and L sounds, so they will not hear any difference between the word right and the word light. I experienced this phenomenon when I tried to learn Zonka. To my ears, the way I said a word sounded identical to the way my students said it, but to their ear I was saying it wrong. An immigrant from Japan can be in an English-speaking country listening to natural English speech constantly for years, but that does not help them learn the difference between right and light. But the situation isn't hopeless. What can help is targeted exposure to exaggerated versions of the sounds. Oh. Similarly, a person not taught to recognize healthy love during the critical window of early childhood can benefit from targeted therapy. Effective therapy has 3 sequential steps: revelation, regulation, and revision. You reveal your authentic self to the therapist, learn to be limbically regulated by them, catching their calm, and only then can they begin to revise your attractors by iterative acting out of the relationship scripts in your implicit memory, with gradual changes over the course of years.
And I will try to fix you.
In modern Western society, self-help books about love and relationships are top sellers. Why is our culture so limbically incompetent? One factor is outsourced arm's-length parenting. Babies evolved to be enchanting tyrants who would keep their mothers close and attentive, but modern babies spend a lot of time isolated in their own nurseries, being rocked by machines, and at daycares tended to by workers who, even if they're competent and kind, can't possibly love their charges the way that parents do. If a new mother finds it excruciating to go back to work, there could be a good reason why.
Well, I feel so broken, I wanna go home.
Suicide rates among young people have tripled since the 1960s, proof of a generally decreased ability of people to emotionally self-regulate. The only way to prevent these deaths and to win the war on drugs is to fight a war on pain. The best immunization against despair is stable family love in early childhood.
All you need is love.
Monkeys experimentally raised with no mother, called isolates, never interact. They walk on other monkeys as if they're rocks. They will not mate, and if artificially impregnated, will not mother. Monkeys raised with a mother but one distracted by an artificially scarce and erratic food supply grow up to be timid, subordinate, clingy, neurotic monkeys. Not all limbic incompetence is the result of distracted or neglectful parenting, of course. The limbic brain can also be physically broken. A person who suffers a brain injury to Wernicke or Broca's area in the left temporal lobe loses the ability to interpret or express speech, but a person who suffers a brain injury to the corresponding zones in the right temporal lobe loses the ability to interpret or express emotion. People with Asperger's show similar deficiencies. In conclusion, love is a natural phenomenon governed by irresistible laws. Fail to understand the law of gravity, you may break bones. Fail to understand the laws of love, and it'll break your heart. The immutable laws of love are these. Relationships require time. Loving is a physiological process that cannot be accelerated. Falling in love is the realization that someone fits your long-established attractors. But loving itself is simultaneous mutual regulation in which both partners thrive and feel centered. Love is learned through resonant, responsive parenting and nourished by communities of connectedness. This has been a general theory of love.